What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome. We got another big show tonight. Just wait till the viewership comes in. How's it going, everybody? Hope everyone's having a fabulous Tuesday evening, wherever you are watching from. We got 7 beautiful looking guys ready to go here tonight. All track owners all around North America, South America as well. So it'll be a very interesting show tonight. I'm super excited to hear the different perspectives, especially after our first show. Casey Young, how are you, my man? Chris Robbins, how are you? Sharon sends NASCAR. I don't think I have enough alcohol in the house for that one. Watching from the Rose. Where's everyone watching in from? I see Chris Robbins watching from the Rose, our local track. Turn 2 Speedway. How are you, my man? I hope you guys are having a great summer. Thank you all for tuning in. Viewership count is climbing. Hello, Racer Ray. How are you, my man? Again, we got 7 track owners all tonight. It's going to be an amazing show. Dan, how are you, my man? Nick, that's one shot for you, buddy. Starting early. All righty. I don't want to waste too much more time. Viewership's counting nicely. Hope everyone's doing well. Again, we got 7 track owners on today, all from North America. It's going to be a fantastic show. I'm going to start the introductions. First off, from London, Ontario, running TSCAR, Adam Hutchison.
Hello.
Adam, how are you?
Hey, Max, good. How are you?
Good, my man. Up next, we got Marc Coon from Mid-Michigan RC from Michigan. Here he is. Marc,
hey,
thank you much for joining.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thank you for coming. Up next from Fender Speedway from Long Island, New York, we got Tom Bolger.
Hey, everybody. Tom? Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming. Up next, we have Danilo from Racing Hobbies, all the way from Ecuador. Danilo.
Hi, Max. Thank you for the invite, and hi to all the other guys in the panel.
Up next, we got Gary O'Brien coming from 405 RC Race from Oklahoma City. Gary, thank you for joining.
Thanks for the invite. Also, thanks for everybody for watching.
Up next, we got Phillip, also from Fender Speedway. Phillip, thank you for joining.
What's going on, guys?
And last but not least, we have Brian Shuma from Race Place RC, Oklahoma City. Brian, thank you for joining.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
So we got 7 guys spanning all the way from Canada, all around the US, all the way down in South America and Ecuador. So thank you all for coming on and joining us today. So I'll start a little bit. I'm going to give each of you guys 30 seconds to basically explain a little bit about your track, if you have a hobby shop with it, basically what do you guys do at your RC facility. Adam, let's start it off with you.
All right. So TSCAR is a setup teardown track. I started it last winter. We do strictly oval. We do strictly low C NASCAR. We have 3 different versions, 3 different classes of it. All of them based around a box stock car. We started the first race. We had 13 people. By the final 7th race this past winter, we were up to over 35 guys on a Saturday.
Awesome to hear. There's a second shot, Adam. You're going to make us drunk tonight.
We're starting.
Marc Coon, Michigan RC. What do you guys do over there in Michigan?
We have a indoor carpet track. It's a 36 by 72 office carpet. We run primarily now all off-road racing. We have done some on-road and oval racing in the past. Just a tough crowd to get into a smaller track. And I also last year added an 80 by 120 dirt off-road track and a 50 by 100 dirt oval.
Lots going on over there in Michigan.
Yep.
Gary, 405 RC Raceways, Oklahoma City. How are you guys doing?
Just fine. I own and operate 405 RC Raceways and Hobbies. We've got a RC hobby shop. You can see part of it here behind me. Sell a lot of traction stuff, ready to run stuff. We do have an indoor carpet off-road track, office carpet, where we race usually once a week, sometimes every other Sundays.
Awesome to hear. Danilo from Ecuador, you're our first non-North American on the show, so welcome. Talk to us a little bit about what you guys do down in Ecuador.
Thank you. I'm the owner of Racing Hobbies. My hobby shop has been in business for almost 24 years. This is my third track. It's an indoor track. It's an asphalt track. It's 140 feet times 77, I believe. And this is my third chance. It's not easy to run an RC track in the economy that goes on in Ecuador. We have a lot of problems with the government, and it's not easy. But I love RC stuff, and I love RC racing. So I'm up to getting all the advice and things that you can tell me to try to keep on business. I haven't inaugurated my third track. I'm going to open after the World Cup ends, because right now Ecuador is soccer right now, so it's not worth it to open right now.
Yeah, we had some great games today and a great game last night during the show as well.
Yes.
Fender Bender Speedway, Long Island, New York. How are you guys operate?
So Fender Bender is a little unique. We are a mobile 110 scale electric on-road track. So we run oval, alternating Fridays and Saturdays. That's Phil's job there. And Sundays we run, the road course, the regular on-road, every Sunday, weather permitting. We basically have to show up every morning a couple hours early before everybody else gets there. We lay everything down and race, do our thing, and then have to pull it all back up the next, after everything's all said and done. So it's a long day, but we have a great crowd and a great community, and I know a lot of them are in here right now and all cheering us on here.
100%. Phillip, you're also from Fender Bender, but just from a little bit of different perspective. Explain that to us a little bit.
Best way to put it really is, I do it personally just because the love for the hobby. I'm not a racer. I don't know half the stuff that half these racers do know. And to be honest with you, Tom is the racer. That's why I think me and him work so well together. Being that I don't really know that much about the racing bit of it, he does. He grew up doing it his whole life. I look at it from the perspective of the guy that has no clue, loves RC, has nowhere to do it, and we offer that to him. Where Tom, on the other hand, he really works more with the RC guys. Like I seen, the guys that are the races. Artie was in here. I seen him. Kevin was in here. They're on complete opposite sides of the spectrum. Artie's a racer. He enjoys doing the racing bit of it. Kevin, he's more of a basher. He enjoys racing, but at a different level. That's where me and Tom differ, but that's what makes us work so well together.
Gotcha. It sounds like a good connection, good duo, and it makes sense. Last but not least, Brian Shuma, Race Place RC, Oklahoma City. How are you guys?
Race Place RC, we have a 90 by 40 CRC carpet on road, a 70 by 40 office carpet off road, and a mini Z track, all indoors. We've only been open for about a year and a half. We're only open 4 days a week. I still have a full-time job. This is something I do because I'm a racer. I love doing it. I love racing. It's something I do with my younger son, who's 19 now, but it's just something that I really enjoy doing. I love the customer service aspect of it and the racing aspect of it.
Awesome. It sounds like we have a great panel. We have everything from like Adam teardown track in Ecuador, massive asphalt tracks and massive oval tracks. So it's very interesting to hear the different perspectives tonight and how you guys all operate your different tracks that are, arguably completely different, but still have the same love for, RC car racing. We'll start with the first question tonight, and we'll go a little bit in order, just like how we just did, just to everyone has a little bit chance to speak. Start with you, Adam. What's the biggest challenge that you see that you have as a track owner that the average racer may not see who comes and races at your facility?
So with our group, myself, as you know, Max, I'm a longtime racer. The majority of guys in our quote unquote club probably picked up a radio for the first time about 6 months ago. There's a lot of learning that goes along with it. That's why we stick to the oval. It seems to be what most of the guys they're comfortable more than anything. People have no problem buying a new car and going out and trying it. All the classes that we run, like I said, they're all based on the Losi NASCAR. So we run a truck class, which is still a complete box stock class, but we run the truck bodies at 75% on the radio. And that has exploded right alongside, because now people think, because now you can go out and you can run two classes in the same day with one car. We stick with the stock batteries because I feel like that's the best battery out there in the market for somebody that knows nothing about RC cars, and they're not going to go home and burn their house down. Some of the on-road racing that I've been a part of over the years it can be, it's very intimidating, and what we do is not at all.
Awesome to hear. Marc, what's a challenge that you guys are facing that the average racer may not see, or someone who comes and joins your club?
Well, I think the biggest thing we're facing is just getting people in the door, getting new racers in the door. With the economy the way it is, and the cost of stuff. And I'm not sure. I never really understood the whole fact that I think every time a racer thinks he needs to go on the track, he needs to go on with a brand new kit and everything top notch. And a lot of people go out and do that, and then they don't really like it, or they get intimidated by the fast guys that are there. And I hear that a lot at our track. I hear it a lot everywhere, honestly. Every track I go to, and I try to travel as much as I can. But the intimidation that people just feel on the track and on the stand at times, and I think that's one of the things that we have to try to overcome as an industry, keeping it open and welcome and fun to the new guy.
Yeah, I've heard that many times, and it's intimidating, and sometimes I even get intimidated going to a track I've never been to. So you're 100% right on that. We definitely need to make it more welcoming and more friendly from our perspective. Gary, you guys have a track and a hobby shop. What's the hardest thing for you guys there?
It's just trying to keep most of the racers that come in the door in parts and stuff that they want. And of course, they always look online, especially through A-Main, say, man, this is neat. Do you have it in stock? Can you get it? And I try my best. I'm ordering probably, at least once a week from every major distributor here in the USA, just trying to keep everything in stock for the racers. And I don't think a lot of the racers really sat back and think about how much inventory is sitting here at one time, and how much of my money and the shop's money is tied up in just doing that. But thankfully, everything turns over at a pretty good rate. So, I can keep bringing in new stuff, keeping old stuff in stock, and trying to keep everybody happy.
Yeah, 100%. That's a huge thing, and I think people need to understand to support your local hobby shop just as much as you support your local track, because they're the guys putting a lot of money on the line to keep us running. It's hard now, obviously, with the internet, but we have to do our best to do so. So I agree. Danilo, what's the biggest challenge you guys have there in Ecuador?
First, the economy. We are not. Our economy is a lot weaker than the U.S. or from the most developed countries. So, but the thing is, racers, people that has been in the hobby for a long time, they understand right now that we have to race spec classes. Something that is not expensive, What we run is what we try to promote is everybody has the same battery, the same chassis, the same servo, the same body, everything. The only thing that you can choose your own is the radio and the charger. Everything else is stock. So it's not a race of how much you spend in the hobby shop. It's a matter of how much you practice and your skills. So that's something that I was able to convince my racers to understand that we cannot be something new comes out in to the market and we purchase and we are faster. So no, we raise everything is stock. We raise Hobby Wing Spec class, the Just Stock class that is wonderful, 17.5. And I have racers that race nitro cars and really fast cars, 1/8 of a scale, GTs, but they understood that that's a race of expending money. Here with me is more controlled. And also I had another, I'm going to start a new business. I have already, for the last like 10 years, in my hobby shop, I also sell race simulators, so right now with the technology, you can link the racing simulators to an RC car, and I have a track as well. So what I'm doing is that my track has a specific schedule for RC racers, and for the normal guy that walks around, they can play with a simulator in the RC car, because you cannot rent a racing car, an RC car, to a regular person. That person will destroy the car, but it's because it's really fast. They don't have experience. But with an with an racing simulator, it's obvious how to drive. So that's a way of linking my two businesses and making more money out of the track, and not only from the racing events.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned a lot of good things there. I think you're 100% right on the spec classes. I think we definitely need more of that. We see Europe doing that and successful. And your simulator idea, it's awesome. I actually tried one at a track last year, simulator RC car, and it was a blast. So great idea for both of those.
Thank you.
Tom, what's your guys' biggest challenge? You guys are doing a lot of switching over there. So
I would say the biggest challenge, honestly, is the weather. But besides from that, since we're an outdoor track, besides from that, really is getting new people in. Basically, I spend a lot of time on promotion. I try to promote a lot within the industry and also without the industry, outside of the industry. I do a lot of Facebook groups, like local Facebook groups, trying to get people interested in RC. We'll do special events here and there to try and get people interested. We've also gone as far as to not charge novice racers. So once we actually get somebody in, you race for free until I tell you you're too good, and then you can start paying me. But until then, the track is yours. Race for free, learn. We're always there, Phil and I, to help anybody out. We go above and beyond for our novice guys, for anybody really. We've really grown quite a huge community of people locally. We don't really get too many people because everyone's afraid to cross over a bridge. But besides that, we've fostered quite a big community there. But one of the challenges that a lot of racers don't see is the amount of time, the amount of money, the amount of planning, and the amount of time away from your family that owning a track really takes. And I know a couple of people I've had discussions with, who are probably watching right now, but for the most part, the general racer has no idea what we as track owners go through, and day-to-day operations and week-to-week operations to make the track as good as it is. So we try our best, we do what we got to do, and hopefully everybody's happy.
Yeah, I commend you for the entry-level guys. So hats off to you for that. And yeah, it's a lot of work. I don't own a track personally, so I can't sit here and say I work hard on it, but I could only imagine, the days that you're not there, how much time's put in. Phillip, from the non-racer perspective, what's the biggest challenge you see from almost, that outsider non-racing view?
To try and keep it as fun as possible for everyone. you know, we have quite a few guys that are on a very high level of racing, and then we have a majority of guys that aren't. They're working their way up, and they're getting better every week, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and what I did with Tom is to not really necessarily just separate them as a driving skill, but in the classes that some of these guys that aren't as good as these pro drivers, especially with our trophy races that we have, we're separating the classes individually pretty much by their skill. So we have we have our pro races. I won't say pro races, but there's some of them are really close. If like Tom, he was a semi-pro, if you guys don't know.
That's what
But yeah, the semi-pro, the pro. Anyways, so basically what I'm trying to say is we separated so everyone has a chance to bring home a trophy. Whether it's novice and some of our classes, like we have our 21.5 touring class, if we just did it as the one class, it's going to be the same 5, 6, 7 guys every single week that wins those races. So we implemented it. Yes, it costs us a few extra bucks. Yes, it takes a little bit more time, but in my eyes, it makes it better for our races that are understudy guys, our races that aren't those top-notch guys, get a chance at bringing home a little piece of plastic and make them happy, and they have bragging rights just like those top guys do. So and of course we do our novice guys, they have their trophy racing and everything else, but in the same class as those better drivers do drive, like the VTA and the 21.5, those are a touring car class. Everyone gets a shot at it. We don't leave it to where it's just the top guys. It's just the top guys. It's just the top guys. I find that to be more important to keep people coming to the track for our location, for what we got. Especially being here on Long Island, like Tom said, people don't want to cross a bridge. People don't want to go through a tunnel to come onto the island to come race. It's very rare. We might get 5 guys throughout a full year that aren't from Long Island itself. So we have a very limited audience that we can deal with, and we try to cater to them as much as possible to keep as many people here as possible, and keep them all happy. And so far, I have to say, like I said, I'm not a racer. I don't know other tracks. I don't know what it's been like. We do very well. We have a lot of people that show up, a lot of people that go home every race day, whether it's a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday day, they go home happy. And as long as they go home happy, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm happy. And that's what makes it good for me. And, like I said, that's the biggest problem I do see with us, is just to keep the majority of people happy.
Yeah. If you're not having fun or being happy, then, you know what I mean? That's a problem, because that's the main thing.
Absolutely.
Like that's what it's all about, right? Having fun. That's why we race, RC cars, toy cars, whatever you want to do it. So if you're not having fun, it's a big thing. And I can tell from the comment section, Fender Bender, looks like you guys have a little
we got
fun.
a lot of guys there.
My promotions work.
Yes. Every time I go on Facebook, I saw one.
Yeah, if you see all the guys in there, there's a good chunk of our boys in there. We got Craig and Alex and Dan Schubert, and there's so many guys right now that are in there. They're probably going to torture us on Sunday, but it is what it is.
Yeah. No, hats off to you guys. Last but not least, Brian, talk to us what challenge you guys have.
Yeah, I actually think every one of here came up with some, they are the issues that we have. And I just want to talk about a few of them real quick, is what Adam and Marc said about how do you get people in the door. It's not only how you get them in the door, how do you get them to come back? And one of the things that we strive to have at Race Place is we're a community, right? Yeah. We don't have cliques. We don't have, I don't care if you're a sponsor guy or you're first time in the door and you don't know the difference between Expo and EPA. You're going to be treated the same way. And almost everyone who races there is going to help you out, is going to answer questions, is going to talk to you. I personally have spent days where I haven't raced because I've been helping other people with their cars. Because if you come in with a car and it's not set up and you're having no fun, you're never going to come back. So it's taking care of the newcomers as much as you take care of the seasoned veterans is what gets people to come back. And as you guys said, it's I want you to have more laughs coming to race with us on a Saturday. Have fun. You want to be there. It's not a slog. It's really more about that. I mean, because to be honest, we're a bunch of big nerds who play with expensive toy cars, and it needs to be fun. The second real challenge that we have, and it goes back to what Gary said, it's distributors working with. We have a very small hobby shop. I do not have a lot of square footage for a hobby shop. All my square footage is tracks, and there are some distributors that make it difficult or impossible to do business with them, being a small one. It's why the words you're saying to take a drink, we can't race them because I can't get those cars. And that to me is how do we get some of these large companies, and there's some that are wonderful to work with, to understand that a small racetrack with a small hobby shop is what grows the hobby. That's what gets people in the door. It what grows the hobby, gets them interested in other things. So those are really the two. It's getting people not only in the door but to come back, and the work that it takes to manage a hobby shop, keep what people need in stock without spending way too much money.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. The distributor, someone who I owned a hobby shop for our track for 2 years, and it blown my mind how many companies I reached out to bring their products in to support the guys locally that wanted them, and they said no. You need to order $15,000 worth of product. I was like, I'm just trying to support the 50 guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. They're like, they just turn your business away, and it's like, how the hell are we supposed to grow the hobby if that's it's just a money game? So
yeah, nobody's going to know that they want to buy that car until they try it or until they see somebody with it, and getting those things in people's hands. And I'm sorry, but Danilo,
Yes.
What you had said about how do you get people to try it? I'll tell you, we've had some racers donate old cars to us that we keep running. We turn them down to 35-40%, and we do rent. Well, I usually don't charge people, but we do let people take them out on the track. And that has, converts into a sale down the road half the time usually. So it's a way to get a controller in people's hands and have them try it and get that experience.
That's correct.
Yeah. I'll open up the floor now to everybody here to talk about what you guys do to keep those guys in. Obviously you just mentioned you have cars that people can use, but what are some other things that you guys found work to keep those guys from coming second, third, fourth, fifth time down the road?
Make it fun. Make it inviting. That's the best thing. We do special events sometimes, like Phil said, make it fun and inviting. We've done gender reveals. I swear to God. I know, Max, I know you have. I
gotta find that video. I forgot about that. Yeah. I'll find it.
Let me know when you find it. But we do like enduros for these guys. I'll set up trophy races as much as we can. Obviously my time is limited. I have a family, a house, another job on top of this. So I mean, there's only so much that I can do. But I've dedicated everything that I can for these people, for this community that we've grown here. Other than that, it's just basically just getting the new guys in and just keeping them happy. That's what we got to do.
100%.
Well,
Anyone else have anything?
One thing I do is with each race day entry, I hand the racer back a ticket and tell them. A lot of guys always have already understood what it was for, but the new people that come in the first or second time, I hand them that ticket and I say, if you want to come back and practice, you just give me this ticket and the practice day is free. Now I only charge $5 for practice day, but I might lose that $5, but they may come in and they'll buy a set of tires and a set of wheels, or they might walk over and buy a new body and a can of paint. I'll make more off that sale than I would have of just having them pay to come in and practice. on an open practice day. I've done that for I think every day I've been in business and we've had just our regular club races. I've done that for all the racers.
So at our track, so one thing that I have done is the local fairs that happen all around our community. I've set up multiple races around during the fair times. We set up outside. I have loaner cars. And that's kind of the beauty of everybody take a shot, the Losi NASCAR. I have no problem handing that radio off to literally anybody, young kids, older people that are totally intimidated by it. I have no problem. I can switch it to 50%. I can leave it at 100, and people can get a radio in their hand that day. And I always just so happen to also have a couple brand new cars for sale at the event, and that's how we have gained a lot of racers. We don't use a MyLapse timing system. MyLapse transponders cost almost as much as the car, so we use EasyLap. We use EasyLap indoors. We use EasyLap outside. It syncs perfectly to lifetime. And it makes the cost of entry affordable, and that's what this hobby needs. It needs to be fun. It needs to be affordable. It needs to not be another job. Like I said, as Max knows, like I raced touring car a long time, and it is a almost a full-time job outside of your full-time job. And if I fully believe if a track is not running a class where somebody walks in the door and you can't just hand them a radio and let them run the car, it's not going to fly. Not long term, anyway.
So you think I should
one of
hand
the
people
things-
my mod car?
What's that?
You think I should hand my radio over to my mod car?
Sure. You had the hobby shop.
I let someone drive my mod car once that never drove mod. I gave them a shot. Good RC racer. I had to rebuild the new car.
Yep.
I get a little hesitant now with that part.
There's a lot of people that start racing mod that shouldn't start racing mod, but they learn quickly when they start replacing parts. So
that's why we split classes at our racetrack.
one of the things I think that I'm seeing and I'm hearing a lot of kind of around the country is oval is kind of on a rise versus off-road. Off-road right now, for some reason, just seems to be on a struggle. I don't know if it's because of the square footage needed. You know, you need so much square footage to run a decent sized track that I'm not sure if it's just that is the challenge or the cost of the cars is there is not a low seed, cheap, inexpensive off-road buggy to buy and put together or even buy RTR and throw on the track that can be something that we want to run. And the other problem that I run into is a lot of my racers are competitive racers. They want to race at my track this week, and then they want to go to the next local track to race at a trophy race next month, and they got to be good enough to go there and race, you know. So it's my market sits in a very competitive off-road market. Michigan here specifically in the United States is very wealthy with tracks right now. We did just lose one of the best tracks in the country, honestly. RC1 Racing closing up. It was a real blow to the state because we lost one of the best tracks we've got. But my challenge and our challenge is the off-road side of it.
I want to add something. What I see is also, sometimes we get comfortable because we have a permanent facility. So it's sometimes you have to go outside, hold events on parking lots, maybe shopping malls, and that's a way of bringing people in. And also, we all know that the base of our business is communities. We have to have strong communities, and the problem is that we only are focusing in one community. RC car fans. Maybe we are not thinking of other communities like motorcycle, on-road motorcycle communities, or GP communities, or the new Losi Promoto. Those are different customers. Is a total different community, because you are not aiming to the one that is fan to RC cars or real cars, but you can aim your efforts as well to other communities, and that's a way of expanding your base of customers.
And I couldn't agree anymore. And I'm holding a grass race, what I'm calling grass national races here. I've done one last year. I'm doing 2 this summer with our local community park, and we're holding them in the park on grass. We go in and set a race up, and we race right on the grass off road, and it's really been a blast. I diversified out into adding the dirt off road and the dirt oval track into the mix to try to grow that whole and get into that whole big market. So it's still just been a challenge, and I am pretty rural. I set in rural Michigan, so
Yeah.
You don't really have a market out there then with people. People all have to kind of travel to you, I'm assuming.
well, yeah, and gaining that local market has been a big challenge. I know there's a ton of slashes sitting around here on the shelves that just get used out in the backyard. That people, if they get them on a dirt track like this, would just have a blast.
Yeah.
Just getting them there.
We've had people bring 2-wheel drive slashes and rustlers in and try them on the indoor track, and after they burn the servos out because carpet has grip, they'll a lot of times come back and yeah, I personally, as a hobby owner, would love to sell you a new kit, but if you want to go buy a used B64 from somebody and come and race with us and buy parts from us, man, I'd rather you do that than not come at all.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a big issue, Mark, you brought up, and it's actually a great idea, is getting that viewership to the community. When I tell people at work, like, hey, I race toy cars, like travel, they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you go to Walmart and buy a car? So I think that's huge, and I think you're doing something great to get that viewership. I think that's something that struggles a little bit because, like, many of our big races, for example, are in hotels. Doesn't get that viewership to the public per se.
I'm using another language. I'm not calling them toy cars. I'm calling this activity conceptual real car racing. It's not real car racing, but if you understand the concept of physics in an RC car, you understand the concept of racing, and also not only mechanics but also driving. Your driving line, because I have a lot of real racers that race real cars that race with me, and even when they were kids 20 something years ago, they start racing with me, and now they are real racers, so they understand everything is the same. So that's a language that we have to start spreading around. This is not toys. This is conceptual real car racing. Because that's the truth.
Well, it's model. They're model scale race cars.
Yes, it's conceptual model scale.
Right, like that.
Yes.
That was the thing. RC cars all started as scale model racing. Like now it's nowhere near that for 90% of the classes out there.
There definitely is toy cars out there. We all know that. The department stores and Amazon's full of them.
Yes.
And I would love to see us get away from RC car racing and it become a sport. This is, I'll tell you, you go to some of those big races, go out to the USCOC in Cleveland, go to some of these big races. This is a sport, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes,
it is a sport, and everybody takes it very seriously at those races.
As well as sim racing, a lot of real drivers, they practice in sim racer rigs. So it's also becoming an sport, because it's the same concepts, the same By basic stuff. You can even prep your car, do mechanics. It's virtual mechanics, but you have to understand physics. So that's something that we have to promote as well. And also something else that I want to add, because I live in Ecuador and our economy is, as I'm repeating again, is weaker. I do a lot of research. That's something that maybe you guys have to do as well. China and Hong Kong, and I know you have to support your local companies and everything, but there's a lot of good stuff right now, like radios, the best radios in the market right now because of drone racing are in China. The fastest, the open source radios are in China, not Futaba, not Spectrum, because I'm a fan of those big brands, because I've been racing for more than 30 years or 40 years. But not right now. The cost, the market is switching to China, not because in the past they were only copying the good things that big brands did, but right now they are developing their own technology in a really amazing way. So we have to do our homework as well. Not only complain, we have to, there are a lot of constraints and problems, but there are also solutions, and we have to work together. We have to share our experiences and try to find a way of making this beautiful hobby, because I have an on-road track because I want to race. That's the thing. The main thing is not only this is the way I support my family and everything, but I love to race, and if I don't construct and run an on-road track, there's nowhere I could race. So that's the other reason.
That was the same problem with us back in Long Island. There was no on-road tracks. I mean, primarily I was an off-road racer up until Phil and I started this. But there was one off-road track, and entries were kind of getting lower and lower as the years went on, and it ended up becoming kind of more of like a private club. It wasn't at all, but the attitudes from the people that were going there kind of turned it into like a private club, and new people just did not exist. They could not get a novice class, and that was it. Eventually they did close down. But on Long Island, we're it. The grassroots thing, that's it. Now, granted, an hour from where we are, there's Donnie Leah's track, which is 360, which I'm sure all of you have already heard of, which is a beautiful facility. I grew up with Donnie. I love the guy. Awesome track. He puts on a great show over there. But for a lot of our local guys here, they really don't want to travel all the way over there. I mean, obviously in the wintertime they will. But in the summertime, people want to be outdoors. They want to, hang out. They want to drink beers in the parking lot, basically, and race toy cars. Sorry, not toy cars. My apologies.
Scale model racers.
Toys. Just to go back to the oval bit, I think a majority of the oval is taking off because a majority of all the oval cars are RTR. The three classes that I personally run is the Losi NASCAR, and it is box stock. This year we opened up to a modified version of it, where it is brushless. But also we run the Losi Sprint cars out of the box stock, and the Traxxas late model and modified cars out of the box. We don't, can't do nothing to them. You can change the tires, oils, that's it. And I think that's a big help towards the oval movement right now, and that's why it's getting such a big grip, because anyone can go down, buy this car out of the box, throw it on the track, and go. They don't have really any 10 scale cars that you can throw on the track and race. They have some RTRs like the Phaser and whatnot. You do have to change tires, and you do have to change setup a little bit, this and that. But for the most part, there just isn't a big RTR market that you can literally take out of a box and throw it down, and the support's there for it. Right now, the oval, for some reason, is the big thing, and those cars are all box stock, ready to go. So I think that is a huge help for the oval, and why that's becoming a big fad right now.
As
No,
as a non-racer, do you think that the oval's less intimidating for new people?
No, to be honest with you, if you've seen the chaos at Oval Night,
It's Fender Bender Speedway for a reason.
yeah, exactly. When we run it, I'll run a 10-minute heat, and then we actually do a 20-minute main. So I try to get because it's really only the three classes. I try and get as much time on the track for these guys. And the stock batteries do run that full 10 minutes and not have a problem with the Losi NASCARs. With the other classes, the sprint and the modified, they are the regular standard 5-minute race. And but the Losi NASCARs, we do get them 10 minutes, and then we find the batteries that are like the 2200 and 2300 variants that do plug and play, and we will get a 20-minute full race out of it on the main every night that we run it. So the guys are out there and they're really enjoying themselves for that 20 minutes. And when I tell you there's chaos, there's 8-car pileups, like in real NASCAR. It's pretty wild to see. But again, at the end of the night, almost every single one of them goes home with a story to tell, laughing, smiling, and happy. Very, very rare that anyone goes home frustrated or angry or anything like that, especially in the oval. And again, as a non-racer, we have guys that have no clue what they're doing, and they're out there having just as much fun as the guys that are as good as Tom or some of the other top guys. So as long as everyone's having fun, again, from a non-racing standpoint, I think we're doing it the right way.
I have a question.
Our oval market here is primarily either dirt or CRC black carpet. They don't want anything in between. We've got like the Crater here, which is probably one of the premier dirt oval tracks in the country right now. They're just banging the world apart, and they're just drawing everybody away from everything else right now. So. It's really a strong dirt oval here in Michigan is a real strong market right now.
I wish we can do dirt oval here. I mean, there's just no place to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you want to try and get somewhere to do it, just an empty piece of dirt, they're asking 35, 50 or more square foot. You can't do it. It's impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The only reason our track works out so well is because our overhead is so low. If
Right.
we had to pay the real estate prices that probably some of you guys pay, or actual Long Island real estate prices, it would never work. We would never be able to do it.
We'd have to have a race every day.
Yeah, exactly. It would not work. Even if we had a hobby shop, even if that hobby shop was top notch, you still would not. It would be great if we could just break even at that point, with something like that. That's why this works. We don't have a hobby shop. We do have a couple of guys that come with parts sometimes. I know Phil brings parts sometimes to sell, but for the most part,
we do work with the 2 local. Well, there was a third local, but that one unfortunately closed. The 2 local hobby shops that we do have, we do work with,
right.
As much as possible with parts. If some of the guys need them. I actually work at one of them on Saturdays, so I can bring down transponders if people need them or whatever it is. I'm not go between because one of the stores is unfortunately further out east, where a majority of a good part of our guys come from the west on the island. So it tries, it's a happy medium trying to help everyone out, with parts and the transponders or whatever it is. So it kind of works in our favor that we have the options. And like, I forget his name, I'm sorry. But you were saying that you almost don't get a chance to race because you're too busy helping everybody put their cars together. I'm in the same boat. I mean, there's been times where I race every class, and then there's times where I can't even touch my remote. Tom's doing all the announcing because Tom's got the golden voice, and I'm sitting there putting everyone's cars together or helping them or getting them back on the track as fast as possible or whatever it is. And you know what? It brings me joy to do that because I've always been exceptionally good with my hands growing up, especially when I was a kid. I like to see the guys out there not you know, when they break or whatever, they're like, oh no, I gotta go home now. No, come on over here. Let's see, we get you fixed up and get you back out there right away. You know, I usually always have a giant bin, as you can see. I don't know if you can, but I have a bazillion cars myself. So I always have my own pile of crap to bring down to the track to help these guys out as much as possible, to get them going that day, you know. And a good part of the time, whatever it is, you know, they need an arm or whatever it is, I'll get it to them, get them on the track, and, you know, in a week or two, they come back and they give me the arm back so I can give it to someone else at another time. It works out good.
You know something that I'm thinking of? I haven't tried yet because my track hasn't been inaugurated yet, but I have been running races for testing and seeing how things work. But what I'm doing is I'm creating fraternities, you know. My pits are painted in different colors. I have the Ferrari painted in red, the Red Bull painted in blue, and the McLaren painted in papaya. So what I'm doing is the most experienced racer and the most easy to reach guy that has experience in RC racing is responsible for his fraternity. So what that way I'm easing a little the questions from the new guys to me, because I'm busy, you know, running the event and everything, managing the lap counting system, and I'm the track, I'm the marshal as well. Not the marshal, but I don't know, the guy that runs I don't know how to say it in English, you know, the judge.
Race director. Yeah, race director.
That's it. So, you know, it's a little frustrating for me when the new guy comes and asks for help and I'm busy. So what I'm doing is because I also give prizes to the fraternity that wins the day, you know. So that way you are not only taking care of your own, you're taking care of the people who sits in your same table that has different colors. It's like 20 racers per fraternity.
It's a good idea, actually. It's interesting because I keep hearing the opposite. People want the opposite, but it's a great idea to help, you know, release that intimidation from the new guys to experienced guys. They work together. It adds that team aspect to it. Obviously, mostly everyone watches Formula One, so it's a good idea. So no, it's a good idea.
Yeah, because you know you don't want nobody bothering you while you are concentrated working your car and you have that you are racing next. So you are, you know, you don't want nobody. If you are an experienced racer, you don't want anybody bothering you. But you know, in this way, because you are a team, and like I'm thinking in the future, I'm sure these guys are gonna be wearing a T-shirt of a certain color, a cap with the name of their team, you know. So that's something that I want to promote, and I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if that is going to turn against me, but you know, let's see what happens.
100%. I want to go through some of the comments here because the comments blowing up. He is from Ecuador. His shop is called Racing Hobbies. It's more visible than a spurt. 100%. That the time, again, Adam mentioned it, the time that you need to be competitive in RC racing is insane.
Yeah.
I race a real car and I race RC cars, and I spend way more time with my RC car than I do preparing my real car for the race on the weekend. I can say that for sure. Yeah, tons of comments from all over. The next thing I want to talk about. We keep talking about low C NASCAR, and the one thing I hear from some tracks, and the problem that we have at our track, is two things. The first one is we have a lot of the top guys racing them against the newer guys, so it discourages the newer guys. Second thing is a lot of guys, again, seems to be the experienced guys, are in the gray zone in terms of playing with the rules and whatnot. Do you guys have that issue at your track? And if you do, how are you guys handling it to ensure that the cars are equal as they're supposed to be?
It's easy to maintain the gray zone if everybody knows what the gray zone is. If everybody knows if the fast guy is fast just because he can drive fast, that's one thing. But the fast guy is fast because he can drive fast and he knows the little tips and tricks. Well, if everybody knows, if everybody shares the information on what the little tips and tricks are, if you choose not to do them, then that's, in my opinion, that's on you. That's not on the track. That's not on the facility. That's not on the racing. Now, the other thing is with our club so far, anyway, the newer guys, they want to race in the same class as everybody. They don't want to be separated. They want to earn. The guy that wins the D main one week, he wants to be in the C main the next week. They're actively trying to get better. Where it's not always the same guys winning. At least not yet. Like our club is still fairly new that way. Like I said, a lot of our racers are very, very new to the hobby. But me personally, being probably the most experienced at our track, I'm an open book. I have no problem sharing everything that I've learned over the years. So
The way I kind of look
you
at
guys,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was guys, do you guys tech at your races? We don't
Yes.
tech for club races. We do for
Trophy
series or
races.
points races, but
Only
not for
trophy
normal club racing.
yeah, basic tech. The 3D printed tool to check to make sure that there's a metal spur gear in it, that the gearing spacing's right. Just the quick stuff. Honestly, it's always been that way. Generally the guys that are cheating on purpose are in the lower mains. That's just that's historically RC car racing.
With all the
This is-
hop ups on their cars, right?
Right. Yeah. It's very, 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 very rarely is somebody in the upper heats cheating on purpose. If anything,
Yep.
The lower main
we
guys.
do have the basic
Like
check.
Yeah, I've preached to people not to worry about the new aluminum part. That batteries and tires is what you need to spend time and money on, and run laps.
Yep.
Once you're
Yeah.
consistent, then start worrying about that stuff.
Yes.
But people are people.
I drove for 2 years. I drove an $89 Sakura, and I beat everybody for 2 years. It's not the car; it's the driver.
Yep.
Get out there and just race and have fun.
Yeah.
Practice. You want to get better? Practice. One thing that we do that's a little bit different is, we actually kind of do it old school from when I started racing almost 40 years ago. You start off in novice, obviously. When you get too good in novice, you start winning a few times. Then, you graduate to the stock class. And what we do is kind of make this a huge deal for everybody and, make everybody cheer for them. And everybody gets a kick out of it. It boosts up everybody's confidence. Now they want to come back. And everybody's, all of our guys are really good with that. Everybody's cheering on, like the novice guys bumping up and the stock guys bumping up. And then from the stock class, if they want to continue to still run that type of class with like the silver can class, which is our stock class, we separated it from regular stock and pro stocks. Now they have a whole other category to be able to graduate into. And, once they do, we do the same thing from novice into stock. We make it a huge deal that they graduated over. I'll announce it. I'll do all my golden voice things, as Phil would say, over the mic. And, I'll make it a big deal for them and, built up their confidence. And then now, I would say probably 99% of the people that went through that process with us come every single week, and that's the best thing that we can ask for,
I think something else that we have to work on is how much time you spend on a racing day. That I think that's something that is also a problem because, like, Sunday is the prime day for RC racing in the morning, but you start races at 9 o'clock and you end up, if you race several classes and everything, maybe 2-3 o'clock, and that is not I don't think that's good for your family, for your life, for everything. So I think we should try to think something different in a way that, keeping the new guys happy, the middle guys happy, and the faster guys happy is almost impossible. But, maybe racing only one class per day or something like that, because if if we have endless races, it's going to affect in the long term our family as well and our customers as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, family is a big thing, and the time away from the family is huge. You know, I have a 3-year-old and I have an 8-month-old, and it's a lot of strain on my wife, you know, because I'm going, you know, I work 5 days a week on my 9-to-5 job, and every single Sunday I am at the track. I'm out the door at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and sometimes I'm not getting home till 8 o'clock at night. The last trophy race we had last year, I don't think I got home till 11 o'clock at night. You know, we had, I think, 110 entries or 115 entries, and, you know, I think we had 22 heats that time, and it was a lot. You know, our normal club races, we're getting 80 entries, 70 to 80 entries on a normal club races. So, you know, I try, as race director, I try to cycle through as quickly as I possibly can, you know, try and make the day a little bit quicker. But, you know, a lot of these guys are running, you know, 4 classes. It is impossible. And a lot of these guys, they run multiple classes, which is great, you know, because they spend more time onto the track. But then the problem is now they're not there to marshal, you know. So I'm always constantly calling for volunteer marshals and trying to get people out there. You know, also another thing too, you know, we are a very laid back track, you know, and that is basically the whole point, is fun and laid back. But sometimes a lot of people kind of take advantage of that laid back attitude, and they forget that their race is up, or they're bullshitting with their friends in the pits, and, you know, now I'm calling their name 100 times, and they're like, oh, hold on, give me 5 minutes, I gotta, you know, replace my motor real quick. Austin, I'm looking at you.
I hear some of that same argument from people that come in and visit my hobby shop where they race at other tracks in the area. And they're like, man, I can't believe, you know, we started racing at 4 PM and we weren't done till 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. And that's just for a club race dirt oval track. And a lot of people, I mean, I realize that. I don't want to be out there that late at night or early in the morning. And I know a lot of the racers don't, but a lot of those racers enjoy it and have fun doing it. So, you know, more power to them. But, you know, I see that same argument, like I said, from a lot of people that come in and visit our hobby shop.
Yeah, it's a big issue. It's when I tell people,
most of our racers don't want to be at the track for more than 5 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
It seems to be the, you know, we
top.
start by noon, home by dinner.
Yep.
This summer we started having a Thursday evening series where we start racing at 7 and we're done by 9:15, 9:30. That's really been a lot of fun, and a lot of racers have really been every time. Everybody that's been coming now is putting up. Is it Thursday yet? You know, so it's working.
Also,
and it doesn't keep people away from home on Saturday and Sunday.
You know, squeezing the time in the wallet of the same customers is going to have long-term consequences. You know, that's why I'm trying to head to other communities like motorcycle and fans and things like that, because if I sell different car kits to the same customer, that customer is going to come to me and say, you know, my wife or my family or my job, I want to raise all the classes on the same day, so it's going to be a problem for me. So what I'm trying to do is, you know, keeping things separated, you know, maybe touring cars one day, motorcycles other day, and I try to have different, this is conceptual as well. I will try to have different communities. I'm testing motorcycles to see which one is I'm going to race GP, you know, the king class in motorcycle racing. I'm looking for several brands that Kaiosho is really nice, but there are other brands that are really good in Asia as well. So after I settled the nice touring car class, I'm going to go for other classes to other groups of people. You know, that's something that we have to consider as well.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. You guys nailed it on the head, and it's something that needs to be discussed in the community. Is, you know, a club race fun race day should not be 9 hours long. You know, when I tell people like, hey, I'll prepare a car for you, my brother, for example, just come to the track and, you know, and he's like, what time do I got to come? I said, well, come at 7 a.m. because practice a little bit. Racing starts at 9. We won't be done till 6 p.m. Yeah, he doesn't show up. You know, it's an all day thing and it's long. So I definitely think there needs to be a conversation, you know, maybe we shorten qualifier times. I definitely think less qualifiers where, keep racing the clock all the time. It gets kind of boring. But I definitely think conversation needs to be had to, shorten the race day to attract new people for sure.
I think it comes down to less classes.
Yeah.
And that's a great segue, Adam, into our next conversation here. Big topic of our show is classes. I log on to these big races and I see there's like 18, 19 classes. If you have black hair, there's a class. If you have brown hair, there's a class. What are you guys doing at your tracks first, do you guys think there's too many classes in racing in general?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
most tracks generate those too many classes also by saying, let's race, just say on oval, let's race a bandit sprint car, then we'll have a 13.5 sprint car, then we'll have open sprint car, then we got low-C sprint car. Well, now you've got 4 classes of sprint cars when you only really need 2.
Yeah.
So once again, it goes back to tracks generating those extra classes, which makes more people enter more classes, which makes the day longer and drag out, and it just amplifies the problem.
Now, do you think it's because more classes means could be more entries, and more entries is more entry fees? Is that why tracks do it?
It's possible, but you can also see it on a big race type of deal too. Say 8-scale gas racing, we'll have sportsman 8-scale, we'll have expert 8-scale, we'll have pro 8-scale, then we'll have 40 plus 8-scale, then we'll have 55 plus 8-scale. Like I said, it's the promoters making those extra classes so people will run more, which generates more
Right.
money. But once again, that goes back to that makes our race day longer.
But if you don't have 36 choices of the same car, how can you go home and put your plaque on the fridge so that your wife can be extra proud of you?
That is true too. A lot of people are out there just trophy hunting. They want that.
I'll give you my discount code at Trophy Depot. You can go buy yourself one.
Something I was talking to other. I'm the only hobby shop for on-road cars in my city, but there are other cities far away, like let's say states that have really nice racetracks, on-road racetracks as well. So I talk to them and I say, okay, let's stop the crazy spending. Let's expect racing. What I'm trying to promote, and they agree with me. So I talk to my customers in my city. We are going to be racing to other guys in another state with the same class, the same car, the same chassis, the same motor, the same battery, everything exact. So it's really it motivates you to compete to other guys in the same conditions. So that's something that we have to discuss to the other nearby hobby shops and organize spec racing with the same. Try to do something. I don't know. US has a huge market, and getting spare parts is easy. But in Ecuador, if you don't have if you don't set up a really like a spec class to have enough spare parts for everybody, is not going to work. So that's something that guys may consider, talking to other tracks and saying, okay, this weekend we're going to race in this track, next weekend in your track, and we're going to race together, but the same category, the same class.
What is your spec class? You said that you.
Yes, I race 1/10 of scale touring. The brand of the car that I'm racing, that I will be racing, is the Louis LTX. Is a Hong Kong brand new. It is a nice chassis. It's not an X-Rays. I know it's not a Serpent or a Somatic. I don't know. It's not a high-end car, but it's good for a spec. And and even the pro drivers came to me and say, this is good enough to have a spec class. It's a challenge, not really a challenge, but it is interesting for me, and it's not a really hard challenge for the newcomers. That's something that you have to do. You have to pick. Something that is not really far away for the novice people, and not too easy for the high-end racers. But I'm talking about from another perspective. Our economy is different from yours, and also I'm the one that sets the rules for what is going to happen in my track, and I don't have other competitors. My competitor is the biggest one is Amazon, and we don't compete in the same condition, because if you purchase from Amazon something that is worth less than $400 and weighs less than 4 kilos, is free. You have to pay $5 and they put it in the front of your door, and I have to pay 60% taxes. I know I get distributor pricing, but what is that? 30% discount, maybe 25%. If you're lucky, 30%. But if you add the 60% taxes that I have to pay, I'm a lot more expensive than Amazon. So it's really hard for me.
We talked about the spec classes on last show, and I definitely think it's a great idea and it's needed, especially for new people when they come in and, there's 10 different motor brands to run and then 10 different ESC brands to run. I think making a spec class that's simple, inexpensive, doesn't even have to be touring car. I talked to Cyril after the show, and Cyril's like, we can have a World GTR spec class. Doesn't have to be a touring car platform. World GTRs are relatively cheap, very easy to set up. We can have a kit ready to go with all the electronics, radio, and everything for about $1,000. So I definitely think it's a good idea and something that's needed for RC in general, for sure.
The touring card shouldn't be called touring card anymore. That has disappeared. That should be GT car. That there's no touring anymore. And also the way I'm trying to convince my customers that we race with the only the only bodies that you can choose are Tamiya GT bodies. They are expensive. They are not as good as the high-end bodies. But what I'm trying to promote is cars to look like real life cars in real racing. Not the RC paint scheme of RC cars is really nonsense. It's something that we are getting used to, and we should be trying to promote people to paint really nice cars that look like real racing cars. That's part of the hobby.
Yeah, we had this conversation on last night's show, and we were talking about for like the touring car bodies that look like nothing, and then everyone just sprays them white. And you go into a race and 6 of the 10 cars are white, 1 car is blue. So that's my next question to you guys is, and I know Adam personally loves the scale racing, loves the look of the real race cars. Do you think RC would attract a lot more newer people or people in general if the racing, looked like real racing in terms of real one-on-one scale cars?
Yeah.
Probably.
The general public wants cars that look like cars.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And we get... So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you just, he's right. You have to appeal to people that have no idea what an RC car is. You know what I mean? We have all these crazy bodies like that new Avalon body. Is that whatever it is?
Yeah.
Come on. Even though I'm a racer and I'm always trying to find an edge, and I'll always find I'll move the body a 16th of an inch forward to get a little tiny bit more forward bite. Yeah, yes, I know. Or a millimeter. Sorry, I know you're in Canada. But for the general public who've never raced before, if you make it as similar to something they've seen on TV, like regular NASCARs, like the NASCAR class, or like regular, like any type of regular autocross or motocross or whatever, like some racing that they've seen on TV, they're probably going to be more apt to want to come and race at your track. I think that's probably a great idea to do something like that. Hence why in our spec class, our stock class, and our pro stock class, all of the bodies need to resemble a real car. Now, obviously, people are gonna teeter the gray area on that one too. But as long as it resembles a real car, it's bringing people in, I think.
So, but on a track, the guys that do that try and get that, it's a McLaren 720, it's this, it's that. They're not the guys that are winning. They're just looking for that edge that they think that's going to help them get to that win, and it never does.
For people who don't race, though, the most interest that we see people go, oh, that's cool, is the Tamiya TT02 class, because they're all based off of real cars, or F1. And the F1 class, I wish more people would run it. They don't. We sometimes get 3, we sometimes get 6 or 7. But to have 6 or 7 of those cars going around the track at one time is really dang cool looking. And if people, that resonates with people, but then they see how the class never, doesn't get that much play in it. So it's how do you balance what looks cool to what people are going to come race.
I think
And
the
when you
problem
get into spec racing, you get into, this is great for a few weeks until people start, I want to go faster. How do I do this? How do I make this faster? How do I go that?
Everyone's always looking to go faster.
I don't know. Honestly, I think a lot of our guys who are running in our spec class, a lot of them stay within the spec classes. Some of them do venture out to go a little bit faster, but a lot of the guys, I was very surprised. The whole point of our stock, silver can class was to be a stepping stone from novice up until you get to the better classes. And, we got guys that just they don't want to leave it. They hence why we had to split it from regular stock and pro stock, because some guys were just so good and they were running that, they were winning every single time. Had to give them their own division and let the 6 or 7 of them battle it out together, so now you don't have the slow guys having to move out of the way all the time. And, they're never winning, but now all the B main guys have a chance of being A main guys, so, and then when they get good enough, then we bump them up too. But, they are going fast relatively, they can go a lot faster. They can run on a 21.5 class or, we've tried mod, but mod just never seemed to work. I end up being the only one running a mod motor, and Phil was running a 13.5. That ended up never working. So we end up going with the slower classes at our track anyway. And our track's not small, even though it's a parking lot track. Our normal track is 120 feet by 65 feet. And sometimes I've gone as big as 170 feet, 170 by almost 80 feet, and we still can't get that mod crew in there. So I think like the slower classes, the spec classes, that's where it's at. A lot of people, I've been doing this. Oh, you talk.
Welcome to the show.
Right. I've been doing this a very, very long time. And when I was younger, it was mod. That was the premier class that you want to be in. Whether it was off-road or on-road or whatever, indoor, outdoor, it was mod. And it was always a stepping stone from novice stock mod. And then nowadays, mod motors have just gotten so fast that normal average racer just cannot hold on to it. So, you have to foster to those people, like most people, maybe we'll have 3 people at our track, maybe 4 people who will want to run mod and will actually be able to control it. But now I have to assume the risk of everybody else who realistically cannot control a mod motor in their, 21 in their touring car. And, God forbid they hit somebody, that's on Phil and I. So I'd rather have the slower classes and build that up and, also have the better drivers being so close to the beginner drivers. And I think that would makes it a better community for everybody, I think.
I see somebody in the comments said that, our old modified was slower than 21.5 today.
I ran with Mike for almost probably 30 years ago, and he just
I saw Rob King shared a video that was one of the old Gene Hustings videos the other day on Facebook, and it was modified TC from early 2000s, and it's the speed difference is insane.
Yeah, an 8-turn brushed motor on nickel metal is probably as fast as a 25.5 motor on a 7.4 lipo battery right now.
Right. I think that's the biggest problem, and it's the cars are weapons at that point.
Right.
Bodies are too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Paper thin, too expensive. Tires last longer now than they did, even a few years ago.
Right.
But modified touring cars is not for the weak.
I saw Elliot Harper posted a video, British racer and modified driver, and he was going 125 kilometers an hour down the back straight.
Yeah,
that's fast.
Yeah,
and something crazy as well is manufacturers. Like let's say X-Ray, they release a new version of each car every year. How in the world a hobby shop is going to be able to keep spare parts when the next year a new model of the same category is going to be launched? So, companies should think, maybe I should keep this model a few years, but that's crazy. It's impossible for a hobby shop to keep that
Money.
process.
Date. Yeah.
They want to
update.
make
It's
money.
crazy.
People will buy it. The racers will buy it. They don't care.
I don't see a lot of cars that do that.
I'm
The
still
only one I
running
can really think of
124.
is X-Ray, really off the top. Every year they change their car. There might be one or two others, but for the most part, I mean, like Schumacher, it's a couple years. Yokomo, it's a couple years.
Yeah.
To me, it's
10 years, 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. They keep their cars around forever. And they'll maybe update it a little bit with like the new 420X that recently came out not too long ago. But I mean, I can definitely understand that. But if you do notice with you go into it and you look at it, a majority of these updates that they do on the yearly, like especially like X-Ray, they'll change 2 or 3 things. It's not like they do a complete revamp of the car where a good part of the car is still the same parts from the previous year. They just do a shorter shock, or they'll change the shock layout, or there's a different tower, or a different type of upper arm or lower arm, or whatever it is. They don't completely change the whole car around, which is nice. Where you could update your car from last year to the new car with a few parts. But I could see that from the hobby shop perspective, because you would have a wall of parts that be 60 foot long of just one brand. To hold 5 years worth of cars, 6 years worth of car parts.
Something that was really nice was back in the day, Team Associated, they had 3 versions of the same car: the ready to run, the team, and the factory team. It was the same car, so it was really nice for me. I sold to the newcomer the ready to run version, and you can update, or you can prep your car to become a team or a factory team, and it was the same car. So it was really easy even to sell, hop-up options or spare parts. And you had 3 different customers you can head to with only one class. It was really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wish there were manufacturers that still did that. Like I said, with the oval, the Traxxas, the Losi, those are the cars. They don't make different versions of them, but it's a full RTR, and for touring, an on-road type setup, especially with our like the touring car with our box stock class. Sorry, not box stock, our silver can class. We run a plastic tub chassis, and it's open to the market of whatever plastic tub chassis cars are out there. The Phaser, the TTO 102, the Carton 410, which is the same as the Luis type chassis. There's a bunch out there, but no one besides the Phaser really that I can think of that makes an RTR where they can just show up, slap on tires, and go.
Right.
Unfortunately, still have to buy a battery and charger. It's not like some of the old days where they came with everything, like the one, what was it? Tower Hobbies used to have that whole package. Oh, get the battery and everything with it added on. But with that being said, sorry, showing my age. No one in the industry is doing that, and I wish someone would. Besides the phases that, and a good part of our guys do run phases. They might be battle tanks on the track, but they handle well and they hold up to the abuse that some of our guys dish out. Especially that, like I said, in the plastic tub chassis. But the industry doesn't. I don't know if they just don't see it, or they don't want to see it, or I mean, in my opinion, I do love building the cars just as much as running them. But to get, as a racetrack owner, to get people through the door, to want to race it, they want to be able to say, "Oh, look at that car! It's got a beautiful paint job, like the Losi NASCARs. The DeWalt and the this and that." And they're like, "Oh my God, the car looks so good." They could just take it out of the box, pop it on the track, and go. I wish that part of it was still around like it was back in the day, like the TC3,
Yeah,
where it wasn't
amazing.
RPR.
was
It wasn't
amazing.
RPR. It was all that. It was a great time for the RC industry because you had the same car that could run. And same thing with the off road. They had the 3 versions. On road, same thing. With Associated at least. Even Losi was doing
the
it
nitro
too.
version. You remember that they released the Nitro TC3 as well. It was
Yeah, they kind of catered to everybody back then. Whether it was an entry, a basic entry level guy racing, or you had the factory team cars that, everyone tweaked out and they got them to do amazing things that, they were full blown race car guys. So, unfortunately the industry isn't there anymore. And it really, for the most part, the hobby has turned into a bash fest. But the guys that do bash want to race too. There's just not the options that they used to be.
I'll say one thing. I'll give up my age here and how long I've been racing RC cars. I remember when Associated did updates, and I'll go back to like the B2. And whenever they said, "Oh, we're going to come out with an updated car called the B3," you could buy the updated parts to turn your 2 into a 3, and they came in a little box. Was fairly inexpensive and was real easy to do. So
the conversion kit.
You could take your 2 Series vehicle and turn it into a 3 Series.
Right.
But I think
did the exact same thing with the JRX2 and the Pro.
Yeah. And I think what's killing us now, and I'll use Associated again as an example, we went from a B6 buggy to a B61 buggy to a 2 to a 3 to a 4, and then we come out with a 7. Well, of course, 7 was a lot different than the other versions of the 6 because you could use all the parts from the 4 all the way down the line and keep your original 6 Series car updated to the 4 Series. When we went to the 7, of course, it's vastly different, all different parts. And when they went to the 0.1 version, of course, there's a few different parts, mainly the transmission, some rear end stuff. But if they would offer that as an update, I think that would help the industry too. Say, well, you don't have to buy a completely new kit, even though a lot of racers will still buy that brand new kit. Yeah. If you got a 7 and you want to update it to the 0.1 version, here's you a kit. And I think if, like I said, if the industry would do that, they would help out a lot of these people out too. And I can use X-Ray as an example too on their 2-wheel drive buggies. It seems like every year they'll change something minute, but they don't offer that as an update to the old car. It's, we're going to stop making the old car and here's the new car. If you want the updates, you have to buy the whole new car. And once again, a lot of people will still do that. True racers will do that. But if there was something that, like I said, the manufacturers would offer, say, these parts in this little kit, if it's $150, here you go. You can update your last year's car to this year's specs. I think that would help the sport out some too. And I can say the same thing probably about on-road because, they may not change a lot of things. It may be a B, C, or D block change, some geometry change, shock tower. If they could offer that as a small kit to update your old car to a new car, I think that would help some of the sport too.
Agreed. Yep.
Also, another problem is that, manufacturers becoming hobby shops. It's crazy. Like Horizon Hobby, they don't care about hobby shops because they sell directly to the public. But like Team Associated, other brands, they have to nurture hobby shops because that's the way to sell their cars. That's the channel to sell their products. So that's something that we have to consider as well. It's not a fair competition to have manufacturers selling directly to the public. That's that they don't pay attention to hobby shops like in the past. In the past, they really spoiled us, treated us really well, gave us free stuff to test, and we were, their main channel. Now the internet and direct sales are their main channel, and also, like in my case, I'm the 1-800 number for problems. In the US, you purchase something from your local hobby shops, you have a problem, you call to the 1-800 number of the manufacturer, and you get things solved or help. In my case, I'm the 1-800 number. So the problem is that I have to know how to fly airplanes, how to fly helicopters, how to, play with RC crawlers. I have to have a huge knowledge about everything because my customers come to me and ask for advice and for help. So we should try to encourage companies that are headed or are helping hobby shops grow.
Absolutely.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. Over the last, I want to say probably 3.5 years, to me, as a hobby shop guy and a racer, that Horizon Hobbies has been very detrimental to the sport as a whole, but they're still getting their products out there because they're going direct. But like you just said, they are basically taking a big old crap on the hobby shops because they'll turn around and they'll undercut us. There's a reason that I don't support Horizon Hobbies, and part of that reason is because they'll undercut us as a hobby shop when they say, you got to be a brick and mortar store. If you do stuff online, you have to do this. They'll have a whole list of things that you have to go through so you can sell through your own website or through eBay or blah, blah, blah. And then 2 weeks later, they'll turn around and they'll have the NASCARs on sale for $160. And you're like, I can't buy it for that price. And they're turning around and selling it. So they're undercutting me to get their own products out the door.
Well, furthermore, about the undercutting, a lot of these big name manufacturers now, they're doing these, they're doing sponsorships, which is basically just contract customers. And that's what's killing all the hobby. That's what has been killing the hobby shops for years now. Like selling direct, basically I was a sponsored driver. I started out on a high percentage and then started going lower and lower as the time went on, as it became more and more corporate. Towards the end of my sponsorships and all my contracts, I was buying stuff at the hobby shop because it didn't matter. It wasn't even worth it to me anymore. But the guys who don't see it that way, the guys that see it like, oh, look at me, I'm a big sponsored guy, I'm with the big heads, they're getting 35%. You're getting 35% off of retail, but that's what the hobby shops are getting. But they know that they're going to get that, like Horizon knows they're going to get that directly from a sponsored driver, so and that sponsored driver is going to go and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars because they think that they're the best thing, the hottest thing since sliced bread. When in reality, they can't make it out of the cement, and we've all seen it in all of our tracks.
Tom, you're hurting a lot of guys' feelings right now.
Report on Monday.
ChatGPT race report. Yeah. Tom, you're hurting a lot of feelings here.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, 100%.
I will say one thing. Traxxas has helped my shop a lot because they won't turn around. They won't undercut us. If they're going to say we're going to have a sale, they'll tell us beforehand so that we can plan for that and we can mark down our stuff in the shop. They'll give us a 2-week preview basically on new models. Another thing I've noticed too, if you go to direct to Traxxas, they charge that customer more than I would charge that same customer in my hobby shop. And I've had people walk in and say, man, we was just down in McKinney, Texas, which is only 3 hours away from us. That's where Traxxas is. And, we saw that car and they had it for this price and you've got it for less money than they're trying to sell it for. I said, yeah, because they want you to support the brick and mortar stores and support the hobby shop, where I hate to say it again, unlike Horizon, well, they're turning around and they'll undercut you and, you're stuck with stock on hand that basically has lost a lot of its own value. So I will say that about Traxxas. They do help us in the hobby shops a lot.
Yes, they do. Being that I worked for a couple, 2 now, 3 now, whatever it is. Traxxas is definitely great with their support in the stores. Horizon is probably the worst when it comes to it. Especially when they come out with models. Whether it's boats or planes or whatever it is, they'll make them. They'll make parts for them for 6 months, 7 months, and then they're gone. Then there's a new model out, and you can't. They don't even support the old models anymore. You can't get parts for half their stuff that they make, especially the boats. The boats are torture. Horizon Hobby has become a corporate monster that this hobby doesn't need.
Yeah.
Between them buying up other companies and this and that, they are hurting the industry, especially for all the brick and mortar stores. Even the racetracks, they're doing everything wrong. And they only really are worrying about their bottom dollar. It's a shame, unfortunately, until you find someone that's got more money than them to buy them out and to bring them back to where it should be. I don't see them ever changing their mind and doing anything like that.
You got to call Elon Musk to get him into the hobby.
They bought an iconic RC race brand and systematically just dismantled it. Almost
100%.
Yep.
100%.
I mean, they took their race team completely out. They brought it all back now because I think they realized they made a huge mistake. But
Yep.
When I opened up my track 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I went to Horizon Hobby and tried to get an account with them, and they required me to either have $30,000 worth of inventory or buy $15,000 direct first order from them. And how do you make that work? You don't.
Yeah. How do you know what's going to come up for the next 6 months?
Right.
You don't know what's coming out. You don't know, how do you order $15,000 and
right.
not know that something else is coming because they change their inventory every 6 months or less or more? You don't know what's coming around the corner. How can you hold on to something that there's something newer and more shiny in a few months?
Yep.
Horizon is, kind of terrible.
Yeah, it's a shame because back in the day they were amazing. It was amazing, and I first, I don't know, 33 years ago when the RCX show was a big thing. Yeah, I went to Chicago. It was amazing. You had a huge stand from Tower Hobbies, a huge for Horizon Hobby, a bunch of brands, showing their new products. It was really amazing. Now you go to a show and it's maybe Horizon Hobby and a few others because they own everything.
Yeah,
HRP is growing a little as well, but let's support them.
I was approached by a few people over the past year about joining NERSA, which is the hobby shop trade group. And then I went looking and I looked at their convention from last year and sponsored by Horizon Hobbies, sponsored by Horizon Hobbies, sponsored by Horizon Hobbies. Look, I can't do business with Horizon Hobbies, so this doesn't interest me.
Right.
Yeah,
because they don't care about you as the dealer. They care about your customers because they want your customers. That's what it ends up boiling down to.
Yeah,
my son races Awesomatics, Brandon. They are pretty good about getting parts out. Side piece, even when they moved closer to me in Oklahoma, they're really good about the support, and it doesn't change. They do incremental updates, to a chassis, but the 800R came out 3 years ago. The RR was a year and a half ago, and they're still just doing incremental updates now throughout the period, which you can buy all the parts to put on your older chassis if you want to.
Right. I've been running 3 racing for on-road cars for the last 3-4 years, and I'm running Zero Sport Elites right now, and God, they're just amazing car. In comparison to price, I'm sorry, they've worked out really well for us.
That's how we started with Fender. It was the Sakura class was 21.5. There wasn't 21.5. Everybody had Sikoras. And then obviously, as time went on, everything evolved. So I mean, I ran that car for years. I ran that
$129 chassis, man.
Oh yeah, I ran that car against national champions and still was not too bad with it. Granted, I'm insane and I put $400 into it, but that's
Yeah, he's that guy.
yeah.
Well, guys, it's been an hour and 40 so far. I want to change the chapter a little bit to our one last question here. For the racers listening to us, the track owners and hobby shop owners, that what's one thing every racer listening tonight could do this week or the next time they're at the track that would help you guys, help the local track? What's something that they could do that they may not know?
Come down, race.
Go up.
Come and
That
have
was
fun.
not what I was expecting. I was waiting for Tom to say, "Have your batteries charged and be ready at the track."
We're gonna do the bingo cards now.
Yeah, exactly.
Just come and support. That's all there is to it. Just come and support.
That's it.
That's all we ask. Honestly, I think if we look around the table here, these all 7 guys that are on this track, on this call, it's a passion for us. It's not a business. I haven't made a dime off from this thing since I started it 5 years ago. I have another life that makes my money. I do this because I love to race. I love the passion of RC racing. So just come and support it. We'll take care of the stuff behind the scenes. You guys just have to support us. That's it.
Also, tell your friends. Tell
Everybody
your younger brother, your younger sister, whoever. Get it
That's
out.
exactly it. Just
Go
bring
drive
them
it on
down.
the street,
Let them
show
watch.
on the road. Yeah, that's it. Let everybody see it. Let it be
Yeah,
exposed.
they see it and they'll either catch on or they won't. You never know, but the majority do. We have plenty of guys that just are driving by and they're like, "What's going on?" They'll swing by, they'll pop out of the car and they'll come talk to us and they're like, "I'll see you next week."
Yeah.
So,
It's
so I
a
gotta say,
partnership.
being in the
Go ahead.
public like that, it makes it nice because again, you get those cars that drive by and be like, "What's up?" So that's a big help.
We're
exactly.
that's an
But
airport. So we get all those guys that come off the plane, and where we set up the track right by where their car is parked, and they're looking at looking at everything. They're like, "What the hell is going on right here?" And I get on the mic real quick and I go, "We're Fender Bender Speedway. Come on down, check us out." Do the old radio voice and everything. But I mean, that's what it is. It's all about promoting it. Getting everybody who's never heard of RC racing into RC racing, or at least getting interested. And hence why we did that gender reveal. For our racer Alex Musanti and his girlfriend, Julie. That was huge. They brought, I can't remember exactly how many people. I want to say it's probably about 40 or 50 people, that friends and family who've never even heard of RC racing before. And every single one of them were standing around watching it. They were all cheering on. They all got the interest into it. That's what it is. Just get the mainstream interested in what we do here. Oh, by the way, I told Alex I would say this live. Congratulations to Alex and Julie. This Sunday they had that baby from said gender reveal. So
Congrats, guys. Congrats.
Congratulations.
I know he's watching. So congratulations. Beautiful baby.
no, absolutely.
And also one more thing I'm going to say. I'm going to steal the chat real quick. Phil, tomorrow turns 50 years old. So happy birthday, Phil.
Happy birthday, Phil.
Yes, I said your age live.
I just wanted to do a quick shout out to all the guys that I seen from our group that are in this chat. Ivan, Kevin, Erdman, the back of my team. Alex was in there, and Dan and Craig Kerr, and I can't even name them all. Artie's in there with those big bag of tears.
I see Mike Fowles.
Yeah, Fowles. There's everyone in there. There's Alex. I gotta say at our track, not only are the guys, there consistently, but as a group of all of us, we've become pretty good friends on top of just being, competitive racing with each other. So that's why I gotta say, it really works in our group because our guys are awesome. I gotta say that.
Everybody helps each other too, which is awesome. It's not like you go into like a big, race somewhere, at some competitive track where everybody's like, oh yeah, I did -1 camber in the front, but they're running no camber or something, and they're lying to everybody. It's not like that. Everybody
No, not at all.
wants to do good. So they all want what's best for everybody, which is like pretty much unheard of in our industry. And it's, we're very fortunate to have really great racers who are obviously, as you can see on the chat, are supporting us quite a bit, and they come and they race and they support. And for a hobby that was pretty much dead in our area, I mean, we've revived it, and it's not us that revived it; it was them. It was our guys, our racers, who show up every week and just make this all worth it. Honestly.
No, absolutely.
I want to say
100%.
thank you to all my supporters and friends that are, seeing me right now. And we are crossing the language barrier as well. It's not easy to express such hard feelings in English. It's intense for us.
Español.
Yeah, no, por seguro. Also, thank you for my friends, and be sure that I'm going to do my best. This is a partnership. I own the track. I run the races, but I'm going to be the best doing that part. I need the other part of the partnership. I need you to come to my track and help me promote this idea of spec racing, and let's grow this together.
Right, spec racing, and I think we're going to probably see a shift within the next few years as far as how tracks are operating. I think you're going to see, and I'm starting to see it on Facebook a lot. I'm seeing a lot more of a grassroots movement coming with RC. Everything's kind of cyclical. I've been doing this. I've been in this hobby since '89. Started with my father back in '89, and he ran a track which was grassroots. I believe he took it over in '94 and '95 and ran it for a couple of years. But that was a grassroots track that was outdoor, no electric, in a park, basically the same way that we're operating. And I think with the economy the way it is, and people don't really have that much disposable income, I think we're going to see more of a circular event coming back. And I think grassroots is probably going to come back, because who wants to pay $7,000 to $14,000 for a building anymore? And that's not including electric and insurance and anything else. So I think parking lot tracks are going to come back. I think tracks in big open parks, run by the or sponsored by the town, or whatever your county or wherever you're from, whatever they do. I think that's what we're going to see more so of. And Phil and I have already kind of brought that to our area, since it's basically impossible to own a track. I know a lot of you, I believe Marc Marc was saying he lives in a rural area. So I'm assuming, like where your track is, it's probably a little bit cheaper than like the city area or like the urban areas. So, that makes it a little bit easier. But I mean, I feel like I'm not going to get political, obviously, but I feel like as things are progressing in life in general, and the economy in general throughout the world, not just the United States or Canada, North America, I feel like, things are going to become harder, monetarily for everybody. So they're going to need something to do that's not going to cost a lot of money. And the people who are going to run this and dedicate themselves to it can't be spending that money, because, they're not going to be making money to be keeping it operating. That's why, we have such a low overhead. That's the only reason why we turn a profit. We started turning a profit after the second year, and granted, it's not a lot. Believe me, I know a lot of people think we're millionaires from this, but believe me, it's really not. It's enough to afford diapers for my animal.
What I buy?
But yeah,
Well, guys, no, you nailed it on the head. Simple. Drew Ellis said it when he was on the show. Just come out and race.
Yep.
I see a lot of comments on this, that. Everyone's bitching. Just go race. You know what I mean? It's a good time to hang out with the guys and girls, enjoy each other, have fun. That's what it's about. No one gives a shit who won the race Sunday. Just have fun.
Yep.
100%.
Unless you're already.
Unless you're already. We're doing inside jokes. None of these people know what the hell you're talking about.
No.
Yeah, I can't help it. He knows he's here. He'll hear it. He'll see it.
It's
Yeah,
raining
no
in
one's-
this living room at the moment. So
Well, thank you for the
Exactly.
opportunity, Max.
Just like,
Appreciate it.
Just like
Yeah.
George before he hit up Ivan. Bring your rig game on Saturday. Anyways,
we
man.
No, it's
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Guys,
I wish I'm glad I can't see the whole chat just when they pop up because it'll be a whole nother 4 hours of this.
hey, it's a lot. Last time I checked, there was over 400 comments. So, I mean, thank you for
I
everyone
gotta
for
go look
commenting.
back now.
Yeah. But guys, thank you very much again for all you do for the industry, for owning the tracks, for coming onto the show. Thank you. I have never been to your guys' track. I hope to be there one day, but thank you from my heart to you guys for doing what you guys do for the community and for everyone that races at your track. So thank you very
Fly
much,
out
guys.
Sunday. We got a trophy race.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Yeah,
And Max,
come on,
Come on down.
No problem.
let's if you can share everybody's contact in some way, it would be amazing to keep in touch with this amazing group of gentlemen,
Sounds
so
good.
we can share our experiences in the future as well.
I have a group
No,
with the other guys
absolutely.
too. I'll bring you guys all together in one group. They're talking a lot too about what they're doing differently, what they can do to help. So I'll bring you guys all together for sure. 100%.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
No problem,
Nice to meet
guys.
you all
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks,
Nice to
Max.
meet you guys. No problem, guys. Have a
Bye.
great evening, guys.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.
No, you too.
Bye bye.
Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that show. It was a great hour and 50-minute conversation with the guys who do it out of the kindness of their hearts. So hats off to all these guys. Kudos to all these guys for coming out. Thank you, everyone, for watching and tuning in. Comments are going crazy this show. I couldn't even keep up. 100%. You got to be a trillionaire if you want to be a millionaire in RC. But yeah, thank you guys all for commenting. Thank you guys for all tuning in. Thank you guys for all supporting these guys. As they all said, just come out and race. These guys are putting lots of time in to do what they do to help you guys out. So make sure you guys show your support. If it's just come race, change the garbages, mop the floor, small shit all helps. So make sure you guys do that for your show. But guys, thank you all for tuning in. Our Lucas Urbane episode comes out on Saturday. And next Monday we're live. Or next weekend we're back with live, hopefully with Jan Rysajski, the X-Ray driver. So thank you guys all for watching. It's been a pleasure. Hope you guys have a great evening. Have a great evening, guys. Talk to you later.